ease of communicating.
I'd like to call to order the September 10th, 2019 regular meeting of the Rutland City Board of School Commissioners. If y'all please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, would the secretary please note that all commissioners are in attendance with the exception of Commissioner Pensek. All right, first order on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the August 27th, 2019 meeting. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved. An amendment?
Okay, I have an amendment too.
I'll defer to you.
You go ahead, you start.
On the 29th,
which minutes? Because we have two different sets.
Right, the supplemental, the reconvened on the 29th.
Okay.
And I just wanted to affirm that I wasn't there to vote at 6:25, but I would have voted yes. So the only thing I want the records to reflect is that I was not there. And then the new minutes would report that I would have voted yes.
Because we were in executive session.
Well, no, at 6:25 you weren't.
No, but I could not make the notation when people left during executive session.
No, I didn't ask for the time. I just said I wasn't there to vote.
No.
More of an issue than I should have.
Okay, no, that's fine. All right, so we note that change. Anything else? We all set?
I'm told I'm all set on mine.
Okay.
I have one thing, please.
And?
On the August 27th, fifth paragraph, third line from the bottom, just a typo, Black Lives Matter, please.
All right, anything else? And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes carry. All right, communications.
No, second set of
We have a second set of minutes?
Yeah, from Friday.
Okay, so I need to entertain a motion then to approve the
Wait 1
minutes.
second, because I haven't even read them yet.
Okay, well, let's read them and then we'll do the,
I'm sorry, Dick.
that's okay, we'll take a commercial break.
I worked with Betty on those today.
Everybody sufficiently read them?
Check.
All right, motion to approve?
So moved.
Yeah,
Is there a second? All right, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, so those minutes, and that's it on the minutes?
Yep.
Okay, communication. It's an opportunity, anyone that would like to address the board on items not on the agenda, they would be invited to do so.
Yeah, go.
Hi, Kathy Solsa. I was at the last meeting, and I just wanted to say thank you, Rob, for your follow-up phone call, which was really informative and really helpful. And I had a conversation with Phil Olson that was so helpful. And so I just wanted to say thank you for your time. And that's really, I just wanted to say thank you.
Okay, Kathy.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Evans, and I'm just going to piggyback on that. I also want to thank Rob for reaching out to us personally, and also for Dick Corsell for responding to an email. I don't want to go into the topic of that email right now, but it's a positive one. And the reason we wanted to come forward with this is to make it public that we're thanking you, but to also to make sure that if people see that you guys are responding, either approaching us in public or emailing us, that we can get more parents involved, because I think that's a goal for all of us, regardless of what the issue is, that we definitely need more parent involvement. So if a parent doesn't feel comfortable coming in front of the school board to talk about what their topic is, or a suggestion or an idea, or even want to let you guys know about something that's going positive in their school, to let them know that all your emails are published in the handbook. They're on the website, so reach out to them, and if it is something that does need to eventually come in front of the school board, you guys will obviously let them know that, but to at least get the communication going back and forth. The second item I wanted to mention was that I just want to let you know that Kathy and I are aware that we don't want to become your 20%. And what that means is, for those of you in management, you know that 20% of your population takes up 80% of your time. So we're not going to come here and, you know, ask for follow-up each time of what's going on with the initiatives that we discussed last week or at the end of the school year. But just want to make, we're going to just make sure that things are going forward and, most importantly, not going backwards. So we are aware of that, so we just want to make sure that we're not your 20%, that we will be people that you want to talk to and not just regarding those issues that we brought up last time.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate that.
Thank you for
Kathy
your
knows me
time.
well.
For coming and for approaching us.
Thank you. All right. Okay, I would like to take this opportunity, actually first I'd like to introduce, we have a new member to the team. Mary Alma Noonan is here, and she is our new Chief Financial Officer, and I'd like to welcome Mary Alma to the team. She has joined us just a week or two ago, I believe 1 week she's been at the job. And also Peter Amons is not here. Is his last day Friday?
Here his last day is Monday.
Or Monday, okay, all right. So we certainly, all of us have spent a great deal of time with Peter over the years and have respected his intellect and wise counsel, and certainly on behalf of the board. And we'll see him. I mean, he's not going anywhere, so we'll look forward to seeing him around. But we want to thank him for just the exceptional fiscal leadership. Mary Alma, I know that he will serve as a resource for you as well if needed, and you'll be shepherding us through a lot of processes, and we look forward to working with you as well. So we wanted to take that opportunity. And then also, I don't want it to go unnoticed that the district's been through a very rough time. This has been a really, really rough period of time. It's been very rough for the school board. It's been rough for the administration, the teachers, the community. So on behalf of the board, I just want to thank the central office team and the administrators for hanging with us. This has been a very challenging, difficult journey. As volunteers, I think each of us try to bring the best of what we can bring to the table. We can debate, we can disagree, but in the end, it's our love of Rutland City Public Schools that makes us want to be here. So I want to extend my thanks to those central office staff, administrators, for sticking with us through the process. It will continue, and we look forward to good days ahead. So I didn't want that to go unsaid. So thank you very much on behalf of the board. All right, so now the fun part, because we have the two student representatives, and I'm not sure, Hannah or Haley, who's going to go first, but all right.
So currently at Rutland High School, we are hosting exchange students from Germany and Spain. The German students are here for 2 weeks, and the Spanish students are here for 10 days. Haley and I are both hosting German students with us, and I have also been hosting a student from Spain. The Germans leave this Friday, and the students from Spain leave next Tuesday. We've had a great time hosting students and showing them Vermont. The homecoming festivities start with a cabaret performance on the 26th and many sporting events following. The homecoming football game is Friday the 27th, and the dance for all RHS students is Saturday the 28th.
So for Stafford, tomorrow morning Stafford will be hosting their 3rd annual Program Advisory Breakfast. This is an opportunity to express our appreciation for the commitment local business and community members make to our programs and students. Student Regional Advisory Board rep elections will be taking place on Wednesday and Thursday. Similar to this board, students run for office, and 3 representatives from various programs provide a student perspective to the Regional Advisory Board members at their quarterly meetings. On Friday, Stafford will be hosting their 5th annual Fun Day during D Block from 12 p.m. to 1:15 p.m. This is a great time for students and faculty from all programs to participate in a variety of backyard games. This year, there will be kickball, cornhole, giant Jenga, and Happy Cow will be providing Stafford students with an ice cream treat. Board members are invited to attend if you have the chance. That's all.
Great, all right. The beginning of school, and actually I was driving through my old neighborhood recently and delighted to see a Stafford sign. I think it's Mona Vista Avenue, Melissa, where because they built a house on my street, which a young couple from Massachusetts has bought and moved in, and it's delightful. But it's nice to see that there's another project going in with Stafford. So we look forward to seeing that develop over the coming couple of years. So, and anyway, all right, thank you very much. All right, so now we have school opening highlights from the principals, and I'm not sure exactly how this was going to get organized, but I understand each of you have prepared an extensive and exhaustive PowerPoint presentation. Some, I believe, have done video on the opening. So I'm going to invite you to come forward and
Why don't you just go in order of age there in terms of students? In terms of students.
Depending on the order, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that I'm first. I'm Suzanne Engels, Northeast School, and last night we had an open house, and it was a student-led open house and ice cream social. Wonderful time for all. And we have also 2 new foster grandparents, giving Northeast School a total of 8 foster grandparent volunteers from the Green Mountain Foster Grandparent Program. And lastly, this Friday, all of Northeast and Northwest first and second graders will be at the Rutland Regional Medical Center for the Come Outside Alive Fall Harvesting event.
great, thanks, Suzanne. Lauren?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lauren Pepp from Northwest, and I'd just like to share that we had so many beautiful, young, smiling faces enter Northwest on the 28th of August, with about 100 parents in tow who joined us for our first day celebration. We're thoroughly enjoying our still new to us outdoor classroom, with many teachers taking their children outside for various learning experiences. And finally, I'm so excited. We're hoping to have a 4 Winds hands-on science program this school year, and we need lots and lots of volunteers to make this happen. And to date, we have 17 volunteers signed up, and that's not counting our kindergarten parents. So we're thrilled with this response, and overall excited for all the new friendships, joyful moments, and learning opportunities that the new year will bring. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Andy, I think you're up next if we're progressing by
We're going
age
by
range.
grade. So I'm Andy Skorzinski from Rutland Intermediate School. We had an outstanding opening. We were thrilled to have all our lovely faces join us in the first day. We're incredibly pleased and proud of our faculty, we made a few adjustments to our arrival and entry procedures, and and we're still adjusting and adapting, and our faculty has been incredibly flexible with those things in establishing our comfortable learning environments for our students. Our PTO supported a roar assembly with Al the Respect Guy, and it was, according to Al, we had one of the greatest audiences that he's ever seen, and the students were beaming and the teachers were thrilled with the presentation. And finally, Rutland Intermediate School received a ribbon recognition from Vermont PBIS for the positive behaviors and intervention supports work that they've been doing and ongoing, and we're thrilled to be able to receive that at the October PBIS conference. So thank you.
Thank you, Andy. And Deb. It's fun when you can kind of order teachers up to the room, and it's just kind of a reversal of the old roles.
Better? Okay. Hi. As I mentioned at the last school board meeting, our opening went very well. We had a lot of changes to our schedule. We're really excited. We're working the kinks out, but everybody's positive. We had a great faculty meeting this afternoon where teachers were talking about problem solving and really doing positive things to help our students with the new schedule and all of the resiliency programs that we're putting into place. Additionally, I'm not sure if it's been announced yet, so I'm going to announce it, but Marissa Aston has been chosen as our Rutland Middle School UVM Outstanding Teacher of the Year. So we're thrilled. Marissa, if you know her, has given so much to the middle school community over the last several years. She teaches ELA. Did you have her? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I can see the smile. She teaches ELA. She's an interventionist. She teaches French. She does it all. And we're really thrilled to announce that and have her in our school. Another announcement I'd like to make is that on Thursday, we will have a Born to Dance community night from 5 to 7 at the middle school, sponsored by our Family and Communities Committee, and we would like to invite anyone there that would like to learn a few new dance moves. So thank you, and that's a great year at Rutland Middle School.
Thank you, Deb. All right, now the tallest.
Tallest, oldest, Suzanne? Am I the oldest? I would say Haley and Hannah always steal my stories. Not quite fair.
They're good at that.
So I will start with just saying we've been working hard on NEASC, getting ready for our visit next month, and I really want to thank Ellie Davin and Brett Latola. We're going to speak a little bit about that today, but they've worked extremely hard on NEASC, getting that ready for us. But I will add again, our German and our Spanish visitors are here. I walked into the building today and there's 40 extra kids all in the front lobby. They're getting ready to go to Burlington. They bring such a great experience to our students, and I know when our students travel over there, they get the same experience. But it's really, really interesting to talk to these kids. They're really bright, really interested in our community. They love Rutland. The German kids are now doing presentations on, they have to do a project when they come over here. So they're doing a project researching immigration issues in the United States compared to what's happening in Germany as well. So I got to sit in on that yesterday and listen to what one of the students was researching. So it's a great learning experience for everybody involved, and I'm glad we have that as part of our Global Studies concentration.
Thank you. Melissa.
So at Stafford, as always, it's been very busy. It's been fun to walk around watching our electrical and plumbing students build water filtration systems. Headed over to the Mona Vista site for our student craft program, where the students were checking boundary lines before the excavator showed up Saturday morning to dig the foundation. So the students are getting very excited for that. Watching our digital arts students do self-portraits, and our cosmetology students are already cutting hair on mannequins. So it's been very busy. The students are engaged. I'm glad it's mannequins right now. But it's been wonderful. Our staff has been phenomenal. Our real focus has been on self-care, and it's wonderful to see them checking in on one another to make sure that they're doing well this year, greeting students at the door, and then family engagement has been through the roof. We had a wonderful opening reception. We had an open house the other night, which was very well attended, and it's been great opening doors where parents are just stopping in to chat and find out what's going on in the school. And then tonight was the first night that our adult evening program really kicked off. The building is full of young apprentice electricians and plumbers, and VTC is present in the building, so it's been a great opening year. So.
We're chuckling only because during the cosmetic thing, we were just thinking
We're
that
wondering when can we get our appointments?
Yes.
You know.
Hurley and I, there would be no learning. All right, and then last but not least, this is Scott Corbett. Scott is our new director at the Allen Street campus, so welcome.
Thank you, thank you. I think I need the haircut more than you guys, but I appreciate it. It's been a real honor just to watch the veteran staff and the new staff come together and work together as a team. Walking into classes and seeing students engage in learning, both in dialogue as well as academics on the computer. And I think really the highlight for me was when we had a student that was struggling with anxiety, and another student wrote a poem and read it to that student to reach out the hand. And what's more important than an act of kindness? So it's been a real nice opening, and I look forward to the futures. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Scott, and welcome. All right. And then we're going to move right on into the SBAC overview. And I believe that, Rob, you are going to do this. And we understand at this point in time, it's very high level. Even the AOE's website doesn't have anything of any consequence.
Exactly. You stole my first line. Welcome to the fascinating world of data that is not entirely accurate.
But that has never stopped them.
Yeah. So what I have is what we've done historically is an overview of SBAC scores. SBAC stands for Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium, and is Vermont and many other states' answer for how we track how well kids are doing on Common Core standards. And so the first thing I was going to say is that the statewide data for this year and for 2018 and 19 is questionable, because in 18 the SBAC is an adaptive test, so the more you get right, you get harder questions. You start getting questions wrong, you're supposed to get easier questions. Apparently, whatever algorithm they used in that design failed, and so some of the questions were not scored correctly. And so the 2018 data is in question. 2019 had that perhaps as well, but what I can say also is that in 2019, just as Commissioner Cursell said, there is the state longitudinal data system that has yet to have a successful conclusion to the last school year, and that data system interacts with SBAC data to say what students are and what demographics, how many students are where. So this data, as much as it looks, you know, fancy and colorful, it is not necessarily correct. So, let's see what we got here. Okay. So that being said, if it was even remotely close to being accurate, let's talk about what we see. And I just made some notes. For those of you at home, the board here has some handouts that look like this. The colors follow the cohort of a class as they go through our school's grades. As an example, if you look on the right side of this slide, this is English language arts results. And this is the percentage of students meeting or exceeding the grade level standard. And if you look at the right slide, those are the Rutland scores over the last 5 years. And if you follow one color that on the screen, it kind of looks like salmon. If you follow that from top left to bottom right almost, that's how that cohort of students scored as they went through our system from grade 3 to grade, looks like down to grade 8 or 7. One of the things that's true about this assessment is in districts where students come and go frequently, like ours, the cohort is also constantly changing, so it's tough to get an accurate read. But I think a lot of schools in Vermont are also dealing with that, so we kind of say like, you know, it's close enough to say how do we think we might be doing, and are there any questions we should be asking? So this is English language arts, and some observations I made with some people today and in the past week or so is if you look at English language arts here and you look at our scores compared to Vermont, grade 5 and 9 were comparable to Vermont in 2019. And for those of you looking at that, it's the far right column is 2019 for all those grades. And if you look at grade 5 and grade 9, they're comparable to Vermont's score. I'll also note that in 2019, grades 5, 7, 8, and 9, if you take the longitudinal look at their data, and I'll use one example in a second, they've shown a growth of at least 1 point since, in terms of the percentage of kids achieving or exceeding the standard since grade 3. So the one I will try to use is, let's see, nope. Oh, that was down to grade 6 anyway. So if you go from grade 3 to 6 and you look at that peach color again, you notice top left, it's 35.8. And when you get to 2018 and those kids were in 6th grade, it's 38. And so that means there was about a 3% growth or a 2% growth in the percentage of kids achieving the standard. One of the things that when you look at this data, and it's pretty easy to see, is that when we get a transition to a different format and grade level at middle school, and I know different board members have observed this in the past, as well as people in our district, that transition seems to equate to a decrease in SBAC scores. I'll talk about what the middle school did to take action looking at those things in a bit. That's ELA, that's a fast view, and those are the biggest things I can say is that that shift to middle school seems to equate to correlate with a decrease, and we seem to see, you know, some basic growth and some equality with, oh, I know why it didn't work. I was looking at the wrong slide here. Some equality with the state. So let me go back to that cohort growth. So take a look at that salmon colored one again on English language arts. It goes from 35 on the top left to its bottom right at 37, so that's +2. I apologize, I was looking at math, which is why it confused me so much. So that's ELA, but you still see that same kind of transition, and those were our highlights. I'll go to math, and then if you have any questions in general when I'm done, I'll take them, but I will tell you about action we're taking and questions we're asking. So on the math page, some observations we had were grade 5 was comparable in 2019 to the state's score. And for 2019, grade 9 displayed a longitudinal growth of at least 1 point over the grade 3. So if you go, the bottom right is yellow, that's 28. That cohort was 26.3 when they started. Of course, one of the things that kind of confounds that cohort is you might say, well, we added in students from other schools, but these are the Rutland City School students. we disaggregate the others out to get that score. And then I will let you know that, again, in math, it looks like there's a transition. When we transition to middle school, we see some challenge in the scores. I will tell you that in 2018, we had 2 different substitutes for math. It was tough to get, a continuity in math instruction. We did some intervention for that. And then in 2019, we were working with some newer teachers that did a great job, but you can see that still kind of equated to a decrease in SBAC scores, and I'm specific on SBAC scores when we get to the middle school, and there's a lot of variables there. In terms of what we do with this, so here are some of the things that we do. When we get data like this, you don't look at it and say, hey, well, that's fine. You have to ask yourself questions. What can we do better? So as a result of this and other ways to try to improve how they deliver their curriculum, the middle school adjusted this year, and you may have heard Deb Hathaway talk about this last year. They adjusted this year to do integrated instruction, humanities, and STEM. So it gives kids longer blocks of time to study the content they're getting. Last year, we were getting 40 minutes of instruction a block or thereabouts. This year, they're upwards of 60 minutes of instruction a block, and they're integrating across content areas. So that if I'm going into the middle school and it's day A and it's my STEM day, then I'm going to get a day-long integration in STEM studies. They're also connecting and doing that with humanities. If I go in on Humanities Day, I get longer blocks of study and integration, working with more than one teacher in content areas, trying to keep us on top of how the students are doing, keep them engaged, and so they get longer time to study. And also, they're implementing project-based learning in a lot of those places. So, also, as you know, the middle school started this year, early release on Tuesdays. That PLC time is in large part used so that teachers can work together and focus on their instruction. So if I'm a math teacher, I'm going to get a big chunk of time to work with my STEM colleagues on how we're doing to improve instruction and make sure, what's going on?
You see the light.
Thank you.
I thought that was in my head. To make sure that their instruction is aligned and they're working together. And the other thing we did is today I reached out to our regional curriculum coordinators, and specifically we have a regional coach lead to ask about what processes we can do to support our teachers at the middle school, specifically around math and ELA. And our coaches go to those regional trainings, but also I called down to my colleague Laura Boudreau in Bennington, and her math coach is also the regional coach lead. So she's working with me to say, like, okay, here are some things you can do to make sure your teachers are supported and they're using all their skills and they're going to be able to do what they need to do. Because these guys are high energy people and they're ready to go. And the last question, the question I ask when I look at this data is, I wonder if our middle school support for our students is offering enough support for them. Do we have enough intervention and differentiation for kids who may be significantly off grade level and asked to undertake content that is way over their head? And I know Deb Hathaway and I will be talking about that, as well as Lorraine Bargman, the improvement coach, and Sharon Napolitano, the assistant principal. So those are some basic things we look at. Like I said, even though the data is in question, the work that we're looking at doing is about improving instruction and learning.
Okay, questions for, and I know this is preliminary, but questions for Rob. Allison.
So first thing on the English language arts. So the state data seems a lot more even than our Rutland City Public Schools. Seems to be up, down, up, down. Do we track like the overall average at all, or what are we doing to possibly address? There seems to be big gains and big losses if you look at ours, whereas statewide, I don't know if it's just a number thing that's making the average look better, or?
Yeah, I think one thing is because the state is a much bigger N, so you're not going to see the variation as much as we might. Variation in smaller numbers can occur, driven by any number of variables. So that's why the state is more constant, because the N is much bigger. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when we look at instructionally, we look at the data, we say, how are our students doing? Is there a reason why we're up, down at different grade levels for a cohort? As I looked at this today, I couldn't say, like, okay, every cohort that runs into grade Z does a 10-point drop, because they don't. It's something different about the cohort, and we're trying to, you try to look at that student by student even to see why that is. So I don't have a specific answer for you as to what the driver for that is, but I know that's one of the questions we ask.
And is the number in parentheses, is that the N for that
Ready?
cohort? Or
The
what
number
is
in
that?
the number in
Average
parentheses
class
is the
size?
percent exceeding the standard. So one of the things we look at is, okay, is our overall average going up, the percentage going up, and then also you don't want to see necessarily tracking of more people toward the middle. So if we have 28% exceeding the standard in grade 3 or 4, we'd like that to carry through grade 5, 6, and so on. If we don't see that, the question is, okay, why is that?
And my other question on the mathematics, when I look at them, it looks to me like Rutland City Public Schools is significantly lower than the statewide average across the board. So I know you mentioned like reaching out to regional coach. I'm wondering if there's different instruction technique, if we're using a different curriculum, or what is, if we've identified any drivers to leverage.
So those are great questions. Last year we formed a math program committee. So we're looking at our math program. A lot of people say like, okay, what program do you use? Everyday math right now is the core. It's not our curriculum. It's our core program. So we gathered a committee and we started looking at NCTM and how they rate different programs in terms of, we developed I don't know how many different factors. And we came down to 3 or 4 different programs that we were going to get in research. We stalled because, and we decided we would focus more on professional development for this stuff, but we stalled because the word was pushing out that the administration at the state level was really looking at a statewide program. So given that, we said, okay, do we want to run out and try to purchase and implement a new program running into school year 1920 when there's a possibility that in school year 2021 we might get a top-down decision on a statewide program.
So where's that at still?
So for our level, we held and were on professional development, and at the state level, last I knew, like everything at the state, they were going forward, and then they stopped as well. Let's think about it. That was part of the whole blueprint for basically a consolidated state district. But one of the things is, this is a pretty good goal, is to say across the state we want to have consistency and high quality. So if we know what's the most high quality program, we can do it. A lot of people will use Engage New York, which is a free online resource. It's really about sticking with the professional development and developing teachers. The program plays a little bit, but the biggest thing is high quality instructional staff and learning.
Thank you.
Matt.
What does accountability from the state look like at this point with these tests? I know that's been a big issue in the past.
I think, I was just speaking with one of the principals this week or late last week on the topic, and the hardest thing is we did get some accountability rollout in the spring, early spring, and they just choose X% of the schools to say you're here, so we're gonna offer you some technical support and some money for some professional development. In terms of other accountability things, almost all the data points that they would use for accountability are into question because the longitudinal data system is inaccurate. So I know they're trying to figure out how they're going to do that. I know a number of people on our staff have reached out to the state data leaders to say, can you give me any answer on what's going on? And I think they're doing their best at the state to try to wrap it up so that they can draw some conclusions maybe.
Is there any guess as to how some of the numbers in here are kind of alarming?
Yeah.
Is there any guess as to how inaccurate they might be? Or is that totally would be a total range?
This is a great question. So as an example, if you're looking at a major gap, I don't think a data flub would account for all of that. We have to look at that and say, hey, maybe there's something we need to look at a lot harder. It's a good question, Matt.
Oh, I did have a quick question.
Yeah, Cam?
When they identified that it was supposed to get easier and harder, did they think that it was keep giving harder questions, or what did they think was the data flub?
Yeah, unknown. The fault was in the algorithm in the assessment. and I didn't get enough detail for them to say like, okay, here was the exact problem in the algorithm and how it acted within the assessment.
Anybody else?
You guys study up and be, computer science engineers, and we won't have these problems.
All right. Thanks,
Aaron's
Rob.
Marianne.
Thank you.
Oh, Aaron, did you have a question?
She did, and then it was gone.
Okay.
What's the average percentage that exceeds? Is there like per grade level?
So if you take the English language arts sheet and, I see, what's our average across all?
Well, like state average, or like, is there an average of exceeding? Is it 20%? Is it?
Unknown. All I can do is to say if you look at this data cohort by cohort, grade by grade, state compared to Rutland City, you can see the percent of students exceeding the standard in those parentheses next to it. Yeah.
There's no like real average or target, maybe is a better way to describe it.
No. Target 100%. 100% exceeding. You remember. But yeah. So that was when this accountability system launched under George W. Bush's administration. The target was 100% achieving and exceeding the standard within, I think, like 6 years.
So in the parentheses, there should be 100% for real?
That was the target when this was designed.
Okay.
Right.
We call it a big audacious goal.
Charlene?
Just piggybacking on Matt's comment, that just an observation that some of these numbers are kind of alarming, and that it goes
Correct.
back 5 years. The overall trend is still lower.
Correct.
It'd be nice to get that in another direction.
I'm planning that when we offer interim assessments, so the SBAC has these interim assessments. You give them for two reasons. One is to spot check and benchmark how your kids are doing. The other is to gather kind of less formal data about where you're at. And so across our district this year, we are saying we're going to use these interim assessments a little bit more so that we can benchmark our kids, check ourselves, but also it gives the kids another chance to be familiar with the format of the assessment.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Ellie Davin and Brett Latola, who are the co-chairs of the NEASC site visit that's coming up, and they are here in your packet. There's a comprehensive, there's a cover letter from Bill, Brett, and Ellie, and a comprehensive self-study from NEASC. So I'm going to turn it over to you two, and let us know what's coming up and how we can help.
Great, thank you. I'm Ellie Davin, social studies teacher at Rutland High School, co-chair of NEASC.
I'm Brett Latola. I'm a math teacher at Rutland High School.
I want to start by saying thank you to Bill and Steve and Greg and Pam, who have been extremely supportive. Their guidance, their wisdom, their patience throughout the whole process has been amazing. And I also want to say the entire faculty. This is a huge undertaking, and the faculty certainly stepped up to the challenge. I think it speaks to their commitment and their professionalism, and I just wanted to put that out there.
So the plan for NEASC, they will be coming in about 6 weeks,
6
I
weeks,
think.
yeah.
They'll be arriving on Sunday, October 20th, and they will be staying through Wednesday, the 23rd. And so on Sunday, they will come and arrive, and we will give an opening presentation as a school, and then they will have some meetings, one of which will be with school board members, and then we will have a little bit of a welcoming reception to kind of end that day, and then Monday will be, they will basically be in the school interacting with classes, students, teachers, things like that throughout Monday for most of the day, and we have some meetings lined up. Tuesday, they will be kind of tying up some loose ends, writing, starting to write their reports, and Wednesday they will also be writing reports. So it's a pretty extensive visit. Ellie and I know went on visits last year to other schools, and it's a lot of work to put in to be on a visiting team. So we have a schedule lined up for everything, and I think in your packet there's a cover letter explaining kind of what your involvement would be in the process. So do you want to talk about it?
Right, so Sunday, we're here to cordially invite
Yes,
all of you. We sent a save the date in June, but we're here tonight to cordially invite you all to the events on Sunday. You know, as Brett just mentioned, there's an opening presentation, and then there's a meeting, and there's a welcoming reception. You're certainly welcome to come to all 3 events. We hope that you will. Maybe the most important part, though, is the meeting with the visiting team, because they will want to sit with you in a room, and they will want to ask you some questions about the 7 standards. To what extent does Rutland High School meet the standards? And so we really need a commitment from, we'd love to have all of you, but we know life is busy. But if you can come the whole Sunday, but if not, if you can make a commitment to the 2:15 to 3 o'clock meetings, meeting with the visiting team, that would be great.
And by all means, you don't have to, I know you have this RSVP, you don't have to fill it out now. You can fill it out and send it any of these ways, interoffice mail to, just so we have an idea of how many to expect.
Right.
Just a question. Oh, sorry.
Sam?
Yeah, is it in the library or where are you holding the meetings?
We
I obviously didn't do my homework.
Yeah, so we are still kind of working through like what rooms we're going to be using during that day. So when you either RSVP, and I know that you're coming, I can relay that information.
But it's definitely the high school, not
yes.
the
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
definitely
at the high school.
Yeah. We've also included a link, right, to the self-study.
Do you have the whole document?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
All 121 pages.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
I was going to point that out.
Just some leisurely
Some light
reading,
when you
right?
have a
Yeah.
chance. But that is really the product of the year-long self-study that was conducted throughout the school year last year by the entire faculty and administration.
Okay, Allison.
So I had a question about the study. So now I'm assuming, maybe if you could walk us through, I assume this is outlined by NEASC, what they're looking for, and this is your self-rating based on the standards? Is that a correct assumption?
Yes.
Yes.
So the process through the self-study is each committee would collect all of the evidence and compile that document, and then using a rating guide that's provided by NEASC, the committee would put themselves on using that rating guide. They would say, we're either limited, we meet the standard, or we exceed the standard. So what you're seeing in that document is where each committee felt, according to the NEASC rating guide, where they've stood in terms of achieving that standard. It is possible that the NEASC committee will see it otherwise. They will see us either as exceeding or not exceeding. They take into account the self-study because they know how much time and effort the school puts into it, but they also make their own decision in the end based on the evidence that we provide to them and that they are able to collect when they're here.
Right. And so my other thought in relation to this, I guess, is what can we expect going forward in some of this? It was a very thorough document. I read the first 21 pages, and I kind of admit I skimmed. More read the executive summary. But I mean, it's great to see these things like highlighted as a board. It's wonderful to see all this information as evaluating yourselves. But I guess what would the next steps be is some of the things that were identified as critical needs, because we expect as a board or as the administration to expect requests to be coming forward to rectify some of the weaknesses that have been found in the study.
It's actually quite a long process. So the committee will come, they will write their reports, vote on their reports. That report goes to the chairman of the steering committee, and then it basically goes kind of back and forth. Like it goes to the full NEASC committee, then it comes back to us, then it goes back to them, comes back to us. We really won't have the final kind of report from them with those strengths and needs that they want us to work on, probably until the end of this year, probably maybe even next year.
The end of the school year.
Yeah, end of the school year, yeah. But we will get that. It just, takes a while.
And then after that, there's a 2-year and a 5-year follow-up where the NEASC Commission will identify areas of need and kind of structure that, and the school will have to respond to that in 2 years and in 5 years. And is that included in there?
That should be,
Yeah,
yep.
so included in that document.
The plans,
are what we identified as what should be and could be done in 2 years and what should be and could be done in 5 years based on our own self-study and our own analysis of these are the things we need to work on. And in reality, the commission could see things completely different and come back with, supporting our self-study, or they could come back with other things that they feel that we need to work on.
Right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, Ellie, Brett, thank you very much. We'll look forward to that. And again, that is Sunday, October 20th, at the board's section 215 to 3, and just let them know. All right, moving on to central office reports. I will ask Assistant Superintendent Mr. Bliss if he has anything to share.
I have a few quick things, just so you know. You heard from our principals. I want to thank them all for coming and spreading the good news about what's happening in our schools. It certainly is an exciting time. Just so you know, today our HR director, Peter McKinney, is at a job fair in Albany, New York. Even though we're staffed, his job is to go out, seek, and recruit potential candidates for math, special education, and science. Those are always the 3 big ones that we need. I'm on the United Way board. I want to let everybody know, and in the community, the United Way fundraising campaign kicks off tomorrow at Rutland Country Club. You'll note on the draft agenda, which we'll get to in a second, or the draft calendar that we'll get to in a minute, I think, is Act 173 is on for a later date in October, and Pam Reed and Mary Alma Noonan and I are watching that to see what are the potential impacts for funding. As you may know, 173 is an adjustment to how special education is funded in the state of Vermont. Full implementation is not supposed to be until 2025, but there could be funding implications as soon as 2022. Fiscal year 22, that is. Too early for us to look into our crystal ball and know what that impact will be, but you'll hear more when we get it. You'll see on the draft calendar that next meeting, school improvement plans will start coming forward. And I want to let everybody know this year in school improvement world will look more like in a plan, do, study, act cycle. It'll look like the study or the planning part of that, where we look back at where we've been for 2 years and say, okay, what are our points? What do we want to do to improve moving forward? Obviously, with the high school there in the thick of NEASC, that'll weigh heavy on what they're doing. And then that's all I have for now. It's just an exciting start to the school year.
Right. Thank you, Rob. All right. Next up in your board packet is the draft board calendar for 2019-2020. All right. So we set the meetings up in advance. Obviously, the meeting dates are known. Sometimes we have to hold one or so in advance in January for budget deliberations or budget finalization. But in any event, we really want to, well, there's a couple of things I want to point out. First, that we want to reinvigorate the calendar. I mean, there's some things, as Rob had just said, that are customary, they're seasonal, they're things we have to do. The school improvement plans, of course, all have to be approved by the board, as well as the district plan, which is submitted to the Agency of Education. And, there's the budget. There's things that we have to do on a seasonal basis, and those things will appear on the schedule. But we often talk, when board members will ask me, geez, I would like to hear more about this, or why shouldn't we be focusing more on that? And this is an opportunity, I'd say right at this moment, but an opportunity to really influence the types of discussions we have and the topics that we have. These are just some general guidelines based upon a potential calendar with the dates being certain, but the topics not. So I really would like you to spend some time, we'll talk about this at the next meeting, to try to be thinking about some things. I know everybody has certain topics that are of interest to them, or they believe that we need more follow-up on, or their presentations are always welcome, in particular when they involve our students. So I would like you to spend some time. We do this every year, and you know, this is an opportunity. These agendas are not set in stone. The clerk and I meet with administration to develop them, but we are not trying to prescribe any particular topic other than knowing seasonally there are certain things we have to do. So this is your opportunity. There's two changes, though, that I want to make, not in the dates necessarily, but October 8th will be the board retreat. So we're going to have to bump things to another meeting, but that's going to be the board retreat. We did not have it in August because we were involved in other matters. But we will have that retreat. Hurley and I will meet with central office in the planning of that, but plan on that October 8th. That will likely be off-site. I think we might try to do it up at the high school, which is where we looked at doing it previously, and we usually do it earlier. Normally that starts at 5:30 with a dinner and whatever, and it's an opportunity for us to have some time together, in particular now as we're in the reforming stage. The other date, November 12th, Associate Rutland High School Principal Greg Sillinger has invited us and graciously accepted to have our meeting on November 12th at the new 77 Grove Street building. So, and it just so happens that it aligns with the Rutland High School School Improvement Plan, although if we have to bump some things around, that may or may not be that evening. But so we will plan. I mean, normally we customarily meet in this room, but this, I thought Greg suggested, it's a wonderful idea. I think we would all like to see it. So on the 12th of November, we will meet at 77 Grove and see the new space, and we're very excited in doing that. So this is just kind of laying things out, so please be, please mark those particular dates. There'll be more forthcoming on the retreat, but that'll be an earlier time than normal. November 12th will be the normal time, but just in a different location. So, and then I will ask for any things that you'd like to see on the agenda subsequently. So, all right, moving on. All right, so can entertain a motion to approve personnel memorandum. Let me start over. I can entertain a motion to approve personnel memorandum number 600, dated September 6, 2019, and enclosed in your packet.
So move.
So I have a second.
Second.
All right. So Rob, would you like to address the memorandum, please?
Sure thing. In a non-licensed section, we have a resignation. Kim Davis, a paraeducator at Rutland High School, effective just before school was starting. Our appointments, you see they're all paraeducators. Ms. Reed and the team in special education have been working really hard to make sure we're fully staffed. And also as some people have come and gone, students and adults. So Chelsea Blanchard at Rutland High School, Jess Dodge at Rutland Intermediate, Grace Hampton at Rutland Intermediate School, Sarah Irish at the high school, Hillary Tabor coming back to us at Rutland High School. There's a coaching appointment here, in addition from last time's coaching memo, Justin Vasey as the middle school boys soccer coach. And then there's a large slate of co-curricular appointments that is included in a memo, and I would just submit those as they are presented within the memo at the back of that section that you have.
Okay, any questions for Rob on the personnel memorandum? All those hearing none, then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
I would like to make a motion at this time to authorize the chair to sign the employment contract for David Walk for interim superintendent for Rutland City Public Schools.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All right. Any questions? All right. All those in favor?
Well, actually, I just wanted to say that with the time is of the essence, and I think we did our due diligence in this process, and so I'm going to vote yes.
I appreciate that, Cam. And thank you for the diligence you've shown as well. Thank you. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The following announcement will be sent out this evening to all Rutland City Public School staff from me. Let me just read it. On behalf of the Rutland City Board of School Commissioners, I am pleased to announce that Dave Walk has been hired as interim superintendent for Rutland City Public Schools. Dave is a former Rutland High School principal, Rutland City School superintendent, and Vermont Commissioner of Education, and most recently served as president of Castleton University until his retirement at the end of 2017 after 43 years in education. Dave will begin work tomorrow, September 11th, and his contract is through June 30th, 2020. In addition to bringing strong educational leadership to the district, Dave will help the Board of School Commissioners plan for the search for a permanent superintendent for the next school year. Many of you either know Dave or know of him. He will be a familiar sight throughout the district, and he plans to hit the ground running by visiting schools and reacquainting himself with this wonderful district. I hope you will join the Board of School Commissioners in welcoming Dave Walk. So that will be sent this evening. All right. Policy Committee, first readings.
So you should all have.
Katie, I have that in writing too if you need it. I've got it written for you. All right. I saw her there and I just.
So you should all have the policies for the first reading. So I present the policies of the 8,000 series for first reading. I don't want to go through the numbers tonight, so
So we could have a motion to, are you making the motion to?
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second. My mic. Okay, so Aaron? Well, you didn't want to.
Well, through the 8,000 series. I
Okay.
don't want to list the numbers.
I gotcha. I gotcha. All right. So this is the first reading.
As printed.
As printed. All right, this is the first reading. We will have, obviously, the second reading, and I know the Policy Committee often has an opportunity to really pour through these even after the first reading, and may make some alterations, suggestions before the second reading of those policies. So I'm sure that will happen. Are there any other questions with respect to this particular motion on the table?
No, the only thing I started talking
That's
before
okay.
I got recognized, is that we've been trying to consolidate, and so instead of having policies for policy's sake, so that's one thing that I support. So
yeah, good. All right. Thank you very much. Then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So this is the first reading. We will move to the second reading at the next meeting.
Building Committee is meeting in this room tomorrow night at 5:30. On the agenda is an update on the solar project, discussing 77 Grove, and there was some damage done to the gym floor at the Keefe Gym. We will be meeting with our Buildings and Grounds Supervisor to see where that stands in preparation of the basketball season.
Okay, so that meeting tomorrow is at what time?
5:30.
5:30 here. So those of you who are on the building committee or anyone interested in learning more about those issues, in particular the gym floor, which obviously is a big concern for the winter season. Is there any new business to come before the board? Old business. Mike, do you just want to give us a reminder about homecoming? Because I think it was either Haley or Hannah mentioned homecoming coming up. Was it the September 28th?
26, 27.
26, 27th.
27th is the football game.
27th.
28th is the dance.
28 is the dance and all that.
Dance
Right.
and fireworks that night after the football game.
On the 27th.
On 27th, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you
And we're
keep
getting there.
good. So you keep us posted in terms, because last year it was wonderful and it was the first
It'll
time.
be a lot better this year.
Yeah. Well, the
We've got
fireworks were beyond what I would have expected. They
We're
were
going to
great.
be a lot better this year. We got
Oh,
some
yeah.
students, a lot of students involved actually on our committee with Mike Norman. So
Good.
It's going to be a good time.
Excellent. All right. Look forward to that. All right. Is there any other old business? We do not have an executive session necessary, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.